सर्वे भवन्तु सुखिनः सर्वे सन्तु निरामया सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु मा कश्चित् दुःखभाग् भवेत् लोकाः समस्ताः सुखिनो भवन्तु. Even though it's in Sanskrit, what I said was, may the whole world be happy. Lokaः samastah sukhino bhavantu. Okay? So, let's keep it very informal, okay? In fact, if we had 10 minutes of patience, we would have sat there in the garden without the rain. But then we are here now. I think it was intended to come to your place, to your friend's place. Where is she gone? Okay. So, do you want me to say something or do you want to ask questions? What do you want? So the rain just came in time so that we could come to your house. Now it's gone. So English would be fine, right? Not Telugu, not Malayalam, not Hindi. English is better. Okay. No. So what did you say?
I would like you to speak a little first, please.
Right. Okay. So it's like this. I had the good fortune to meet a highly evolved spiritual being, and I live my life according to his instructions. So the instructions were to not to mystify things too much, but to let them be open for people like you and me. So I have been doing this for many years, demystifying the search. So let's keep it to where it is absolutely essential. I might use a few Sanskrit words, otherwise we stick to English. If I do, I translate it. First, Brisbane is a lovely place. So let's start with a basic thing, which is actually it's basic, but it's the subject matter of the entire study of the spiritual search, which is Vedanta. But we don't use the word Vedanta because then people think it's something to do with monks and people who live in the caves and things like that. So I don't want to use the term, but actually it's a basic understanding. The simple question, which is, what are we looking for? Not here, but in this world, in our lives, what is the search for? We are looking for something. Somebody would say, well, I don't look for anything, I just live my life. But why do we live our lives? What's it that we actually want with life? It's a very simple, basic question. What is it? Suffering? Unhappiness? What's it that you? Now, this is a very straightforward question. Even some people torture themselves to be happy. But the end product is happiness. That's what we look for. When I work to find a job, I look for happiness. When I add things to my life, I think now I will be more happy. So I gather. I think I will be more happy if I fall in love, so I fall in love. Very interesting. People fall in love, they never go up in. Anyway, and no, not in a bad way, which means you need to fall somewhere to be able to stand up, right? And when I say I need promotions, I need to advance in my career, what's it that we seek? Vitus, you should be sitting down. Right? So, this is what we seek. The unfortunate thing is we sometimes get small parts of this happiness, but most of the time we are trying to become more happy, which means we are not satisfied. Otherwise, why would we? I mean, everything is okay, now why should I do anything more? So the very fact that this whole civilization moves on and on towards something indicates that we are looking for two things. One is happiness, of course. The other is fulfillment in some form, which never seems to work because we are never fulfilled. Yeah, sometimes I am quite happy when I walk, but then I think it's better to have a car, I'll be more fulfilled. And then I get one car and I'm not happy with this brand, so I need to the next, and it goes on and on, it never ends. And then I have 2-3 parked in my garage, but still, okay, I still don't have a Rolls Royce. There's no end, you know what I mean? So the very fact that we want more indicates that we have not been satisfied. There's nothing wrong in trying to seek satisfaction, because this is built into the system. So we go on with life. The other thing we seek is, of course, fulfillment, and third, expansion. Well, we expand in our own ways. First, I am alone. Then I have a partner, so I have expanded into two. I'm talking about practical things, not spiritual, okay? Which is all the same. And then I have a kid, so then I have expanded. I have another family going. All this is my innate desire to expand, Or I have a small shop and then I make it into a company, and then I expand and it becomes a multinational, global. And then when I am the CEO, I jump off from the 7th floor and commit suicide. What for? Not all, but there are cases. So also this desire for expansion. This is what life is all about. Otherwise, everything would be at a standstill. We are so lazy, we might eat and sleep, moving forward. Somebody coming in. Maybe they went there and checked it. Sorry, we just started. We just started off. I thought nobody else is coming. So bless you. Yeah, you can take this also. One support is gone. I have another here. So, sorry. So there is this, we were just discussing that we all live looking for happiness, looking for expansion, looking for security. Yes, we didn't mention that. And fulfillment and security. We always try to keep things secure so that nothing falls apart, but everything falls apart somewhere or the other. And we also look for the ultimate rest when one can really relax, and what happens is only in the end. Rest in peace. In fact, my master, Sri Guru Babaji, used to say that RIP, which they write in the graveyard, rest in peace, it actually means rise if possible. So this is our situation, this is how we are in this life, and in this we try to make a little bit of happiness, good ice cream, or something like that, nice flowers, have a good house. Okay, fine, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that, I'm like that, you're like The same thing. What we are looking at is there something which is there, that happiness, fulfillment and complete security that you seek, is it available to us wherever we are? Whether we have this or we don't have that, is this possible? Is there a state of mind where it's there always? No matter what we possess or we don't possess. I'm not saying you shouldn't possess something, but can we stay independent of it? And the ancient teachers, especially in our land, where I come from, it's called the understanding of Vedanta, the Upanishads, and the practice of yoga. When you say practice of yoga, it's not just lifting your legs up. You know what I mean. Of course, you should lift your legs up, but but I told her to start the yoga studio actually. So it's not just that. It's yoga is much more than that. This is yoga for health. Yeah, because without health you can't move forward, well-being. But beyond that, so we search and we search and we search, and probably by the time the search is over, we are gone. So let's see if there is a search which can take us there faster than before we rest in peace. Can we rest in peace as we are? Okay. Now, we had a wonderful saint in India. Saints are there all over the world, no? Okay. I am talking about what I am familiar with. There was a great saint, a weaver saint, which means not that he wove dreams, but he actually wove cloth. He was a weaver who lived in Banaras. You know, the ancient city of Banaras, one of the oldest cities in the world. And his name was Kabir. And while he wove his cloth on his loom, hand loom, he sang songs, which came from his deep understanding of the inner, his experience of the inner. And he has said something wonderful about this search for happiness, which we all do and not find. As I said, we find, of course, a little bit here, and we are happy with our families, with our children, but there's something nagging, not enough. First you're happy with your daughter, and then she gets married and goes away, and then you now what? I know people who have a huge house, to join family, they thought everybody will stay together, but no, very soon they're all gone. You're alone in this big house and you're sitting in the middle of the hall and wondering, what to do now? Maybe hold a satsang, not you. So, this is our system. So, Kabir said, you know, there is a kind of little deer called the musk deer. Musk deer, it's in the Himalayas. Half of them are gone because of human greed, because they kill them to take the musk. In India, in Sanskrit, the word for musk is kasturi. So this deer is called kasturi mriga, the deer with kasturi, with musk. What happens, Kabir said, not Kabir said, it is so, Kabir referred to it as an example, is in a particular season, it produces musk in a small pouch under its belly. And then there's beautiful fragrance in the air, wafting in the air. Beautiful fragrance. And the poor deer, not knowing the source of the fragrance, where is it coming from, goes looking for it everywhere in the forest. Pushes its snout into thorny bushes, bleeds, but can't figure out where this is coming from, not knowing that it's under its own belly. So Kabir Das said, the human system, the human behavior is similar to this musk deer. The source of all happiness, the source of all fulfillment, the source of all security lie inside. And we search for it outside, thinking that it's going to work at some point. Where inside? In the heart. When I say heart, not the organ that pumps blood. My being, my inner being. You know, when I say I don't say I or I. So there is the anahat, the center, the core of our being. Kabir said, the musk is actually there from where this fragrance. And whenever we come across something which we think we like and we love, a little bit of it is released. So we think, we are very happy. He said, but can we not go back to the source, the fountain head which is inside? So instead of looking outside, can you turn in and look, and you have found the source. So in Vedanta we have a word for it. One who is looking for happiness in the outside. Everybody does, of course. When I am hungry, I look outside for food. Agreed. But this trying to find happiness, security, fulfillment outside the world is called the pravritti marga, the way of pravritti, action. And the other, turning in and looking for the source, is called nivritti, going within. Nivrittinath, have you heard? It was Gyaneshwar's guru. So to go in and figure out where it's coming from, the source, is the whole process of yoga, meditation, philosophy, everything. And all the great teachers have worked on this to figure out where is this spark of the all-pervading, supreme, peaceful reality that dwells in all of us. And if it dwells in all of us, you may be man, woman, dark, white, brown. You may be anybody, short, tall, but it has to be common to all. It can't be only for one person in preference. If I have it, you have it. Whether you have found it or not, that's a different question. So, when somebody who has touched it talks about it, the basic reason for talking about it is to make the others who have not touched it, but who kind of theoretically know, it could be so, start looking for it. Because when you look for it, no matter what your age, what your position, what your situation, you would zero down to that, and you will see that inside you sits all the entire, which is why in the Upanishads and in Vedanta, the supreme being, the supreme reality is called Satchidananda. You might have heard the word Satchidananda. Actually, it consists of three words: Sat, Chit and Ananda. Sat meaning that which always is, is. Not that which appears to be now and gone tomorrow. Most things that we know of are things which are here today and gone tomorrow. This is M sitting here, but after a few years, where is M? Gone. Right? I am very happy about that. I am just saying that there is no point in keeping all old muck, it has to move, new things have to come, so that's great. Anyway, so Sat means the truth or the reality as against that which is not real, which is that which is here today and gone tomorrow. That includes everything actually. Even thoughts, they're now here and they're gone in the next minute. Even thought. So, that which is always there is Sat, the reality. The good news is that a spark of that Sat is in every one of us. And Chit means that it is consciousness. It's not an intangible, unconscious object. Actually, it's the essence of consciousness because of which we are aware of everything that happens in the world and everything that happens inside. It's that which is a witness to all our states of being. It knows everything because it has witnessed everything. If you touch it, you suddenly realize you know much more things than you normally would. The limitations are slowly broken and they crumble down. So, Chit meaning consciousness, awareness, And Ananda means it's the essence of happiness. You can call it bliss if you like. It's the only problem is to understand Sat, which is reality, is not so easy. I mean, because we have no concept, we think this is real. Well, if you have a 4-hour satsang, I can tell you that this appears real, but even logically, but is not. Although I can press it and find it there, that's not easy to find. And so also Chit, consciousness, because mostly, even though we are conscious of everything, we don't know the source of that consciousness, the essence of it. We are conscious. We are conscious of this, then we are conscious of that. I'm conscious of her, I'm conscious of him. But that the consciousness is a common factor, it's not so easy to grasp. When that is grasped, then you are conscious of everyone and everything at the same time, which is a very difficult concept to explain. But there is one thing which is common to all, which we can find very easily, and that is Ananda, happiness. We all understand happiness in some way. We know that if I eat ice cream, I am happy. I know I am not, I get a sore throat, but generally. Or happiness, I know that I would have loved to sit in the park, it's so nice. Anyway, I am happy here. Thank you so much. But, so happiness is something which we all relate to, we all understand. We don't want to be unhappy. So therefore, the ancient teachers of the Upanishad said, first start with that. So then you can find out what is true consciousness and what is the reality. So you start with that. So try to look for happiness inside. And as your mind settles down, absorbed in that happiness, then you begin to understand the consciousness, the witness. So you need to start upside down. Instead of Satchidananda, we need to start with Ananda, Chit and Sat. This upside down thinking is very essential to advance spiritually. We have a beautiful chapter in the Gita, it's called the upside down tree. Urdhvamulam mathashakam. There is a tree whose roots are up above and branches down below. The root is consciousness. The branches is what we call reality, and the leaves and the flowers are that which we enjoy, the fruit and the flowers. So you start with there and then go forward. Which is why, unless and until there is a level of enjoyment inside, nobody would even go into the spiritual practices. What if I sit for hours and there's nothing, it's grim, cloudy, sorrowful? No, it has to be happiness. So we all look for happiness, right? So this is our true essence. So the understanding is that there is, now this is theoretical for you at the moment, unless you know it, of course. I don't know how many maybe people know, that there is an all-pervading, blissful reality. And a spark of that reality is in every heart. And find it and you have found the treasure. There was a yogi who wandered in Jerusalem many years ago, who said, among other things, lay treasures in your heart where thieves do not break in and steal. All other treasures, you don't know who's going to steal it from you. But this treasure in the heart, no one can break in and steal. This is the spark of the all-pervading reality of this universe. You touch it, everything is fine. Then people say that, but if you go into it and if you go into meditation, you all the time observe, you won't function in this world. Rubbish. In fact, you can function better. Well, you need some time, some periods of life when you go into solitude. But when you come out of there, it's like the little silk, the worm, the moth that builds a cocoon around itself. And then it meditates. I don't know what it does. But then after a while, when it matures, the cocoon breaks. And what do you see? Butterfly in the air. So once it becomes the butterfly, then it no longer needs to sit in the cocoon. It goes and shows its beautiful colors of its wings and flies into the sky. So that's the whole teaching of the Bhagavad Gita, is while you are here in this world, do your work and find the truth. Short periods of solitude are required, of course, like everything else. So suppose I want to write a novel or a book, what do? I go off into solitude, but I don't sit there forever. I come out. The second reason is that it's only in this world, in communion with others, that we can actually discover where we stand. My master told me once, if you sit in the cave and meditate, okay, how many years? 15 years, fine. How many hours? 10 hours a day, tall order, but suppose. And then at the end of 15 years, I say, oh, I don't get angry anymore, I am free of anger, I am free of jealousy, I am free of, the hubris, I am free of all. His question was very simple. How do you know inside the cave all alone that you are really free of anger or you are free of jealousy? There's nobody there. You can't be angry with the cave. You can't be jealous of the walls of the cave. What are you? So when you get off the cave and get into a bus to go home, and somebody kicks you on the foot, especially with a stiletto heel, can you imagine? Then you know where you stand. Right? So it depends on, so the best way to figure out where we stand is in communion with the world. So while you require solitude, you should also be able to bring it about while you still live in this world. That's what we want. In fact, that's what we want for this modern world, that people do their work, go about to doing their whatever they do every day, and still keep their hearts and minds calm and quiet and related and absorbed in the Supreme. Then that happiness also spreads to others who are working with you. You go to your workplace and a colleague who used to be always laughing comes in one day looking very glum. When you said talking, what's happened to you? All this, then you can share your experience. I say, look, listen, happiness and sorrow are like a wave. They come and go. Can you just be calm and your mind experiences happiness no matter what's outside? Anything that is high can come down. Every hill shall be brought low and every valley shall be filled. Somebody might think I am a Christian missionary. Because I looked into the Bible, and especially the New Testament, and found so many things which are so similar. I think here was a wandering man. In India we would have called him a parivrajak, one who is constantly wandering. You can't use the Western word used nowadays, homeless. In fact, somebody who confesses the snakes have holes and the foxes have dens, for the Son of Man knows not where to lay his head. No house. Such a person is called in the Gita Aniketa, one who has no house. Why? Because all houses are his. I'm not going to claim your house. I'm joking. So there I rest my case. Now you can, I'm before the court. Now you need to ask me. I don't know whether there's a public prosecutor here, but.
Do you believe
Yeah.
there will be a golden age that we're working towards now? Can you elaborate on that for us?
Yes, there will be a golden age if we work towards it. If you sit down and expect the golden age to come, there's no point. It's not going to happen. But the very thought that you have that there is a golden age to come, it's a good sign. So we should work towards it. Now how do we work towards it? First, we should change ourselves. If we don't change ourselves, how do you change somebody else? Tell me. So the work and the change has to start in here first, in my heart. Then I don't have to do any teaching. It automatically, it's kind of positively contagious. People get it somehow. So while it's true, I fully believe. If I don't believe that there is no golden age coming, at least I wish that it happens. Because we are going into a big pit all the time, thinking of only unimportant things, building up armaments. Any chimpanzee can put on a switch now, and the whole world would be blown up with a nuclear explosion. What do we do? So, of course, there is hope. We hope that there is a golden age, and we are trying to do as much as we can in this matter.
Do you think the age we are living in now allows for repair of mistakes? You did the example of being at peace in a cave, and then you walk into society, and that's a bit more challenging. So if you find yourself still falling into anger, frustration, because from your book you had to start it all over again.
This is the problem. Everybody has read my book.
So as things changed, and we are in a new paradigm where it is okay.
I think so. You know, I had to go through it. I had tough times. I had to go through it in different tough ways. But then you don't have to put your finger into the fire to say that it burns. You see the other guy burn. I burnt myself. So I'm sitting here and telling you it burns. Don't put your finger there. So there is a hope. I think we are now in an age where we can repair ourselves. It doesn't matter where we are. Nobody should lose hope in this matter. There is hope everywhere. Why? Because whether you know it or not, there is this divinity in you, inside you. Try to focus on that. And then all these things are nonsense. You know, I have written about my past lives and so on, but I wrote it just to show that such things can exist. There's no point in hanging on to that. You need to let go and say, what can I do now? You see, the whole the theory of karma is there not to say that, oh, I'm suffering because of my. The positive, the crux of the theory of karma is that what you do now will be what you experience in future, the results, right? So you can't go back and tinker with what you did, can you? You can't. So now, given the present situation, what can I do so that my future, whether this life or the next, is good? So it depends on what now?
Be mindful.
Yes, be mindful. Yeah, mindful. Mindful is a beautiful word now that has come in, and everywhere people are trying to think about it. And this, I'm so very happy. 2 years I have been going to the Bay Area now. I've been going for many years, but 2 years in the US in the Bay Area. And every time I go and address the Google head office, because they have a full mindfulness chapter. And Yahoo, and they also call. I went to Yahoo and I was trying to explain to them what Yahoo actually means. It's very interesting. Shall I, or do we have a little bit on the side? But it has interesting connections, you know. There used to be a sect of mystics, Sufi mystics, you know, Sufi mystics in the forests, in the caves of Syria. And there, they used to practice a certain kind of pranayam, a breathing, breath work. We call it breath work, let's call it breath, in which like you chant Om, we chant Om in the same way. Their sacred sound is Hu. Hu. So when the Oriental researchers on all these matters went there, They found this group of people sitting in the caves and saying, who, who, who. They named them, first they named them howling dervishes, okay, because they were howling like wolves. But the who is actually, according to the Sufi teachings, the last sound of the Arabic word Allahu. You know, it's very interesting to note from the Sufi point of what it means. In Arabic, Al means the, T-H-E, like the town, the human being, the, Al. I'm sure some people may know, if it was in Dubai, Al is the, T-H-E. And La, Al, La, in Arabic, La means no. Have you been to the marketplace and seen the Arabs bargain? You tell them a price and they say, La, 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 no, 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 no. So, La is a negation. So, Allah means the no. Very close to the Buddhist concept of shunya, nothingness. So, it is the no. But then, when you add a who, it becomes the nothing but who, because who being the sound that links it with us. So, these people sometimes shouted who and sometimes shouted ya. Ya in Arabic means O. O, big O with an exclamation mark. So, it means oh who. This is Yahoo, you know. And this is the source of the word. So, when I went to Yahoo, I explained last year, I think, this is the meaning of Yahoo. So, mindfulness. So, mindfulness. In fact, in Melbourne, the other day, we had a talk at the Theosophical Society, and the subject was mindfulness and beyond. I like the subject because what is mindfulness? When you say mindfulness, it of course means a kind of meditation, internal, where you're mindful of every thought, you're mindful of your breath. The Theravada Buddhists call it Vipassana. Mindful of your breath, mindful of your... When you're mindful of your breath, you know, we never mind our breath. It's there from birth to death, but we don't give any attention to it. And it's so important for our survival, the breath. You can be without food or water, but you can't survive without breath for half an hour. But no attention to breath. The moment you begin to give attention to your breath, you become mindful of your breath. You know you're inhaling, you're exhaling. Your mind gets completely connected to that, right? So, that's one kind of mindfulness. The other kind of mindfulness has to go side by side with internal mindfulness if we need to really move forward spiritually. And that mindfulness is, be mindful of the outside world, of what we speak, of what we do, of how we treat people. I can sit and talk about peace, go home, slap my wife. What does it mean? Nothing. So, when there is mindfulness here, it's reflected in mindfulness outside. Or rather, if you begin to develop mindfulness outside, you also develop mindfulness inside, which is why all the great teachers have said there are some rules and regulations, follow them. It's outer mindfulness, right? You know how we create problems? Just through words. Be mindful of what we say. Be very careful. You know, I'm talking to you, it would appear as if it's effortless, but before I say anything, I'm weighing it carefully. Do I affect somebody negatively with this? Even though it may be true. So, mindfulness in words, for example, 80% of the problems in this world, which are somehow linked to internal problems also, can be avoided if we follow 3 principles of mindfulness. What am I going to say before I speak? Give it a thought, half a minute. What am I going to say? 2, to who am I going to say this? Sometimes what I am going to say might be okay, but the person I am going to say this to may not be the right person. Or it's like going to somebody who believes that so and so is the last prophet and saying, no, there's another prophet. It may be true, but I can't say it to that guy, right? It creates immediate trouble. So, what am I going to say, to who am I going to say, and also, is this the right situation to say that? It's also important to note. You may be saying the truth, you may be saying it to the right person, but what if we just had a fight at home and you're saying this to this person? It may come in a different reaction. So, if we can't always be 100% right, but as far as possible, if we can look at this, many problems can be avoided. In the same way, mindfulness insight. I know it's, you say, oh, if all this, who's going to bother, just lead your life. Okay, but then we go again, come back in the same circle and say, now what? So I do think that it's possible to change. We are passing through an age when we need to forget all that, the past, what has happened, and look in the present so that the future is good. Sorry I went so long winding, but I thought there were some good points. So
in that expansion you talk about, would that alter the cycle of karma, that we continue on through expansion through this process?
Can you get it a little more clearly?
We have many past lives.
Okay. I got
karma we keep going over if we don't in this life.
Right. So there's a little bit of a problem here, which is, if I think that, well, it's good to think that there are many lives. Which, to say there is only one life sometimes appears to me to be very infantile thinking, because you just can't be. Anyway, so suppose I know there are many lives. Is it dangerous? I say, this life I will continue like this, next life we will see. No, that dangerous. We have to watch out for this. On the other hand, there are people who believe there is only one life. For them, every action is urgent. You don't know that you are going to die, so well, let's finish what we have to do. Now, these are just ideas, okay? Somebody thinks like this, somebody thinks the other way. But what we should understand is if we believe in past life. For me, past life is not a belief. For me, it's a fact, but I cannot prove it to you, unfortunately. I can't prove it. But for me, it's a fact. Whatever has happened to me has happened. I can see the link clearly. So, knowing this, I have to say something about what you said, which is that so sometimes karma is like this. When you're in the middle of something, the phone comes. But then it's still in your hands to decide whether you want to take it or you don't, right? So it happened. So what we should do is to kind of make a rough assessment of where I think I'm going wrong, where the balance is being disturbed, and try to give more attention to that so that the balance is restored. And don't even think that it may not, it's okay. It's a karmic effect, sir, it's okay. I know.
Just behind the cars here.
Mm-hmm. So, is she coming in?
She's coming, but she's going to park.
So, the idea is not to think that I will attain this in many lives, after many lives, to take it urgently and say, let me see how to change this. And I believe that it can be changed. I have changed it. If I have changed it, I am like you can change it. And who knows how many lives of spiritual practice you have gone through. You don't know now. But perhaps when you go to a certain position, you will suddenly, here I am. I just need to tweak it a bit and I am there. So always keep this in mind. Okay? If I am gone through it, I always tell people, that is beautiful. In Krishna says to Arjuna in the Bhagavad Gita, You know, the Bhagavad Gita is a dialogue between Krishna and Arjuna. He says to Arjuna, you know Arjuna, you and I have passed through many lives, both of us. The only difference is that I know and you don't. So, everyone sitting here has passed through many lives, whether you believe it or not. But somebody knows and somebody doesn't. And some people, watching themselves closely, kind of figure out, maybe I might have done something in last life, that this is the result now. I can assure you that since you are all sitting here, every one of you, and listening to a spiritual talk, it can be anybody's, I can assure you that somewhere in your past life, you've been linked to something spiritual. Otherwise, you won't be sitting here, I'm telling you. In my understanding, why would you waste your time and sit? Something is there in your mind. There's a hint from the past which says, hey, watch. Something may come out of it, and it may get submerged afterwards. Doesn't matter. It will still come up. Hope. That's the good news.
We talked of
Sorry.
we talked of happiness. We all here, we all want to be happy, and yet it is so elusive, and we get so burdened with things that external things, and that impacts us internally. And so, how does one work on that?
Yeah. So one thing I may say this. People leave India. It's okay, I'm not against that. And they come to Australia. They think we are buying happiness, right? But you are saying, you're living here, you're saying there is no happiness. So it did not depend on where you are for happiness. Well, it depends, it's very relative. Some people think this is happy, some people think that is happy. So it's all relative. Okay? Only thing is, in India, if you put your happiness on the table, somebody might snatch it off. I mean, that's okay. But at least here it's there, and somebody, hey, it's your money there. Okay, thank you. So, not all, okay. I have great respect for India. But for this is why we are sitting here. We should understand that wherever we go, there are plus and minus points. Whatever be the situation we are in, there are plus and minus points. Apart from all these plus and minus points, this is what I am trying to tell you, that deep within yourself, there is a fountainhead of happiness which is a part of the divine. So if you want to be clear and live in this world, I mean, you have to live in this world, you cannot run away. You should learn to tune yourself in, at least a few minutes every day to start with, and be constantly aware as you carry on with your life that deep down there is something which cannot be shaken, which is part of the divine, which is Antaryami, the Lord who sits in the heart. So constantly keep being aware of that, and you will see that you are able to cope with your outside world also.
Can you elaborate on
ఏమంత సాడ్గా ఉన్నారండి? I see, so sad. We'll work it out. Relax, okay? There is inside you, as it is inside me, there is a source of great joy. Go into it. In life, we all go through sorrow and suffering. Nobody is free of it, including this man sitting in front of you. I'm telling you, nobody. But then I steer clear. I think I found a boat which in this turbulent waters keeps going, and I'm sitting inside it, and I say, okay, this is turbulent. Now this is calm waters. So we're not different that way. If I can speak of this one day, you may say the same thing to me. Just figure out that your happiness is inside you. And that is the spark of the divine which is in everybody. Tune into that. Spend some time, do some bhajan, kirtan, let your mind be in. See, music is so good, because music takes you away from the ordinary things of life. No? Uh, language, of course, you should know language, because I can't speak to you otherwise if I didn't know English or some other language. But what is more important is, more than the words, it's the feeling that's important. I can simply by heart some words and talk, it makes no sense. More than that is music, sound. Sound doesn't require any language. If there is beautiful music, you listen to it no matter whether you know what's being said or not. Sometimes somebody may be singing in a language you don't know, but if the music is good, then you'll still listen to it. And what about music when there is no words?
Still touches.
Yes. So, yeah, so it cuts across language barriers. See this? When you have Beethoven's symphony, are there any words? What is it? Your heart is caught. It goes up with it and comes down with it. And it moves with it. So, for me personally, it's Krishna playing the flute in Vrindavan. I don't want to talk to him about the Gita and all that. It's rubbish. The flute, I'm sorry. The flute, the music, sway with it. You know, that's why even in any civilization, people sometimes gather together, sing, dance. You know, it takes the mind to a different realm altogether. There are no sounds. There are no languages. Language is useful, but it can also divide. It's useful because when Malayalis meet, they always talk in Malayalam. But make parampuri.
Just going back for a moment, if you don't mind, about karmic situations, which I...
What's your name?
Catherine,
Catherine. Okay.
friend of Lakshmi.
Yeah. Which Lakshmi? The goddess or somebody?
Close friend.
Okay. Okay.
Lakshmi Bhakti.
I know.
I understand about karmic in many lives. I'm a firm believer of that as well. My difficulty in breaking a pattern or a cycle, even though I'm aware of it, even though I'm aware of it, it's a pattern, it's a cycle,
Right.
and that it can be damaging internally,
Yes.
energetically wise, emotionally. It just keeps coming back. It keeps coming back, and the other party, even though you try to explain, because clearly you've had other lives together, this has not been the first life, how to sort of still keep the love and still not damage yourself or another person. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense. Difficult. It's
Yes.
not easy.
No.
But then, you know, there's one little baby and the mother here. Okay. 1 second. Come back.
No rush.
Yeah. You want to sit here? There's a pet shop. No? Okay. You say that again. Sorry. I'm hoping that if you say that again, you might be a little more relieved. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm very...
Yeah. Sit. So tell me again.
It's difficult.
I know it's difficult. You know, Catherine, yeah. Yours is not an exceptional case, let me tell you. There are many people who go through this. So that much you should feel that, well, I am not a lone victim here. There are other people who go through this. Okay? The other is, Yes, you might have had other connections in past lives, and they may not have always been good in nature. So this is a built-up reaction of all that happens. So there is no way other than, there are two ways. One is to be a little unkind and cut off. The other is, as you said, which is wonderful, that you still continue to love the person who always gives you only trouble. It's not easy, I understand that, but you have done it so long. And then understand the fact that satisfaction does not come from any human being. It's only in us, inside us. So tune in there and deal with it as it comes. There is no solution for this except to be able to deal with it. I know it's not easy. When I was a young man and when I used to meditate, you have done enough, more than enough. When I used to meditate, I had no trouble sitting down and making my mind quiet, except that there was a recurring image that would come into my mind which would agitate me tremendously. I'm talking about when I sat with my master, even then, even in his presence. And this was the image of a person who troubled me very much when I was very young. It troubled me a lot. So whenever I sat to meditate, and Babaji had said, send good thoughts to all, and then I would get this man. How to send good thoughts to him? I hadn't then understood that the same Atman is inside him, and now I would have said that. So I said to Babaji, I can't do this. I will just say good thoughts to all, fine, but not good thoughts to this. So he said, but that is also part of the whole. Yeah, but I said, I cannot do it. So he said, okay. He said, every day when you sit, do you get this image? I said, not every day, but many times. He said, okay, from now on, every morning, make it a ritual to invoke this person. I said, why? That would be terrible, because he said, no, every day invoke this person. I don't know if it works for you. I'm just telling you what I did. Invoke this person in front of you. And then put your hands together and say, you are God in this form, come to try me out, test me and make me better. Put your hands. Believe me, for 3 days I refused to do it. Even though it was a master who was asking it. I said, I just can't do it. I can't use the word now. I said, I hate you. So, put your hands together. And then he said, visualize beautiful flowers in your hand. Offer the flowers on that person's feet and say that you are my God who has come to help me. You are the only way out for me from this. So I am worshipping you with flowers. It was difficult for 3 days, but 4th day I started one flower I could conjure up. And then, I mean, not literally, but, and then it increased, and then I could show a bunch of flowers, bouquets, and so on, till one fine day the guy disappeared. I think he didn't like what I was doing. So he's gone, and I was left alone, happy. So in the same way, every morning think of this, whatever is troubling you, as a message from God, come to make you better and more purer and more spiritual, and actually say, thank you very much. I am suffering, but I thank you for this. You have done this for me. I think it might help. I shall certainly send in an appeal to Babaji. That much I can do. Did you say something?
Before when you were talking about...
Before you say that, I must say that I like the frame of your glasses. Very nice. Deep blue. Yeah.
Before you were talking about many lives or believing in one life, I have to admit that I don't know, but I believe in many lives. And it's kind of a comfort to me because I watch interviews, read books, hear about all these amazing people who had experiences like you from when they were very young. They become enlightened, all sorts of wonderful things happen. Nothing's happening to me. I mean, I might be going on like this. I can't see that anything's going to happen in this life, so it's like, thank goodness there's going to be another life, because I can't seem to meditate enough because I get distracted and all these things. You know, and I admit I do, even though I've known about spiritual, Eastern spiritual life for 35 years. I spent times when I meditated and then times when I dined, so on. So I don't know whether you have a comment on that for me.
I have to say this, that it doesn't matter if you don't believe that, I mean, you don't know about past lives, because obviously that's quite clear. That's okay. It's better not to know than to imagine, you know. There's some people who imagine all their past lives, but it's better not to know and be factual and say, I think I don't know. Good starting point. However, some pain. So, however, you have been exposed to Eastern spiritual thought and practice for some years now. So, having done that, you certainly cannot rub it off or brush it off, because it is there inside. Right. So, forget about past lives. Think of this life and see if you can deepen your practices in some way, and not do some time and not do some time and so on. Make a proper schedule and try to internalize your mind at least for 15-20 minutes every day. Easily you can do by just watching your breath, for instance, the breath work, and then don't even speculate on the past. And thank God, as you said, there is a next life, because you can still continue to work, but that doesn't mean you shouldn't work now. So put in a little more effort. I think what you need perhaps is a few days of solitude every once in 3-4 months. That might.
That was another question I had too, about once people are retired, which I am, so I don't have to concentrate on
absolutely. So figure out a place where you can go. It should preferably be a place where you don't know anybody or they don't know you. Otherwise, you know, it gets complicated. Even in a spiritual place, like if you go to an ashram and if you know too many people, then you get caught up in that. So go to a place absolutely alone. Beautiful place where I'm sure Australia has many lovely places. Go and hire a place and stay there for a few days. Just do your meditation, chanting Om, breathe in and out, take the fresh air in, go for walks, do nothing in particular. You shouldn't even put in effort to make a cup of tea, it should be available. I think if you do that, I don't know, I think so, maybe once in 3-4 months for 10 days or a week, it would help you to deepen your meditation. Because I know theoretically you know many things. You have yes, but it has to come from here now. So I'm sure there is a lot of hope. Good hope. If you can come to Marnapalli also sometime, where I live but it's far away. Look for a place in Austin.
Thank you before I can go.
In your conversations in Buddha at the gas pump, in the last 10-12 minutes of the 2-hour 15-minute segment, you talk about a universal message on meditation. Is it possible for us to?
It is easy, but the problem is I've forgotten what I said. What did I say? If you explain to me, then.
I think in the segment you said you initially prayed to your guru.
Yes.
Imagine his padukas and you put a flower, close your eyes, and start observing your breath. And when you inhale, you say Hum.
Oh, I said all that.
You say Saw.
Oh, really?
And you keep
I gave out the secret.
2016.
Ah.
And so I listened to that, but couldn't get the first part of it.
Mhm.
It was whom? SAU meant you
Okay,
mentioned
now
the
that you have
second
said this, so somebody be wondering what is this whom, hum. So let's say, I think I did explain a simple method in Buddha, gas pump. So what I said was that what I do, I used to do, I don't do now, but I used to do, is to, it's always good to get help from spiritual teachers. And there are many spiritual teachers. So if you look at the faces, then you will distinguish this teacher, that teacher. One may think of Shiva, another may think of Ramana Maharshi, and another may think of Padmasambhava, Guru Rinpoche, and so on. So we need to just think of the Padukas, the feet. If you think of the feet, then the face is not associated. So it is the principle of Gurudom, the Guru, absolute Guru. So there is no personality involved. So I said, meditate on the feet of the Guru, Padukas. Padukas actually could mean feet, they could also mean footwear, sandals, which the sadhus with the teachers wore. So keep the Padukas in your heart inside. I actually explained that it's like a white lotus in the heart. On top of that place the two. Two meaning one, one pair. Because the other day somebody told me I had two, one went off. So just it means one. People have peculiar ideas. So one pair of Padukas on the lotus, and then you close your eyes and fix your touch with your hands and chant. What we do is chant Om Shri Gurubhyo Namah. Om Shri Gurubhyo Namah simply means Om, I bow down to the Guru. That's what it means. And then it will be a nice idea to say that I have no enemies and throw some flowers around. And then sit down. It's a good thoughts to everybody. And then close your eyes and take a deep breath. And as you inhale, chant hum. This is from our part. You may as well say Om. But hum. One inhalation. Hold it for half a minute. No sound, nothing. Exhale. When you exhale, there are two ways. Either you exhale or you exhale. Doesn't matter, both. You can try which suits you. But when you inhale, the mouth is always closed. Okay? So when you exhale, chant the sound of sa. So hum, sa, hum, sa. Slowly as possible. Not fast, that is different. Fast, slowly. And then get your mind to go with the inhalation, exhalation. Stay with it as long as you can. At the end of it, when you think now it's time, I think if you seriously do it, you will feel I should have done little more. But then you have to stop somewhere, right? So you begin to feel something nice going on inside. So then deliberately say, stop it now, I have to go to work. And then bow down, touch your forehead to the ground, bow down to the Guru's Padukas and say Om Shri Gurubhyo Namah. This, I think, perhaps what I explained. I think there are other people who heard it. Christine, did you hear it? Okay, because she was probably in the other room when it was recorded. So, so there you go.
I want to really move towards spirituality. I know I'm thirsting for it. But I'm lost. I don't know where to move. I'm really confused.
But are you seriously thirsting for it?
I really want to move towards.
If you really want to move towards what you just now mentioned, spiritual path, keep that thirst for spiritual knowledge intact and not let it be diluted by anything else. And then you will see that a path of how to reach there will come to you. Don't allow it to be diluted now. It's the right time. What more? You have done your work, your family is all, everything is done. Now what can you do? You should now keep it alive. Don't let it be drowned by any action or any thought whatsoever, and then your guidance will come to you. Maybe me, maybe somebody, it will come to you. The main thing is the intensity of that thirst, that hunger. When it becomes really strong, then nature is somehow forced to give you some guidance. It can come in different forms. That's what I suggest. If you want to learn something from me, you are welcome. But it need not necessarily be so. This is what I am trying to say. If you really want to learn, then you can come and see me when I am alone and try to work something out. Do you live here, or where do you live normally? In Brisbane? So you are settled here. For how many years?
From 79.
And your daughter here too. So, I don't know, come sometime. Do you travel to India?
Yes.
Yeah, I have seen you. Come to India sometime and meet me, and we'll see how to work it out. But keep that as the, now consider that as the most important thought that you have. You can start with Hamsa, which we discussed just now.
I need guidance, true guidance.
Guidance is there. Guidance is there. I promise you, don't worry. Continue, start the practice. You put the padukas, think of the padukas. Since you said I have to guide you, so consider the padukas to be the padukas of Sri Guru Babaji. That's our lineage, so.
Every day I do that after liking that
Stay with it. Stay with that. Huh?
Yes, the gradual, now seeing your video on this Shivaratri meditation, you're saying gradual opening of the third eye. Would that be a sort of gradual opening to the spiritual heart?
You know, third eye, see, there are many important centers in the human system for opening up for spiritual connections. Of them, the most important two are the heart and the ajna. So, it depends on the person what is more suitable for a particular person. If you're more of an intellectual type, it's nice to start with this. If you're more of a heart person, then it's good to go to the heart center. So you'll have to think what is better for you. But it's easy to choose, because once you choose the heart, and if you're staying there, and if you feel perfectly all right with it, that's your center. However, while you're here, suddenly if you feel automatically shifting up here, then you have to watch carefully to see where it stabilizes. If it stabilizes here, then stay there. Don't say that certain teachers asked to do here and certain teachers asked to do here, so what shall I do? Depends on what suits you. Different teachers have gone there through different centers. So just remember that the important centers are this. In fact, if you have a little bit of a problem here, first sit down and fix your attention in the heart. Then after a while take it up here. Knock a few times. Knock and it shall be opened unto thee. And then fix your attention there and stay there for some time. That's the better way to do it. And please, the third eye is not a hole in the forehead. Huh? No drilling allowed. Because there are all kinds of things going on nowadays. Somebody.
What's
So any tips for me to get to this head to heart, because my goal is to get out of this samsara?
Then don't worry about head or heart.
Would I be
Just stay with your center, whichever you are now.
I'm very much rational. How do I change that? Because I've got into Buddhism.
It's good to be rational. Nobody said you shouldn't be rational. But you must understand that our rationality is a very limited rationality. That's all we need to understand. That it's very limited because it's based on the five senses. And the only rational thought that the mind can manufacture depends on the five senses, our panchendriyas, and they're very limited. So the inputs are limited. Since the inputs are limited, the result also is quite limited. Although we might think that we are very rational, if you look carefully, there will be many points where you can prick and say, no, this is not rational. So,
I struggle with that. Any tips or any?
This is the tip. Understand that your rational mind may not be always right. So-called rational mind.
I realize that, so I'm wondering.
So then stay with that.
How to get?
See, the thing is, there are no such tinker techniques where you can keep something and hit with a nail and it happens. And there are no shortcuts. If somebody giving you shortcuts, run away miles. You lose time and lose money. Okay? And if somebody says, I'll teach you exactly how to be free, give me your checkbook, don't go. Okay? So, stay with this. Stay with this. She has given you something which I asked her to give you, and now you continue practicing it.
Is it okay with Buddhism to do it?
See, this is the problem. Your mind has become so complicated. In India, we have something called khichdi. Rice, dal, everything mixed in what's happened, Hindu, Buddhist, this, that, all mixed up together. So it doesn't matter really. Buddha also meditated. So what I suggest is just make it clear that no matter which method I follow, what I want is to reach the essence. That's all you need. What happens is we have what we call spiritual window shopping. One day I go alone, I find this is nice, so I'll take it. Then I'll again, this is also nice. So finally the whole thing inside makes it hollow sound. So it's like trying to find water, digging. If you have to find water, you have to allow the bore to go down straight in one direction for a long time. If I dig little bit here, no water, little bit here, no water. There will be only bore wells, no water. So you take time to decide what is your cup of tea.
It helped many years ago. I did practice meditation.
So take time to decide what is suitable for you and then go deep into it. Don't dig little here, dig little there. It doesn't mean anything. Stay with it. We have nothing against Buddhism. I was also trained in the Buddhist teaching, so that's not a big thing. And when you say Buddhism, there are many kinds of Buddhism. There are. Yeah. No, that's a great idea. What did Buddha say? Described everything in one sentence. He said, desire is the root of all sorrow. Simple. Right? And then he said, what is nirvana? Freedom from sorrow for all mankind. Which means what? Freedom from desire. Is it possible to be free of desire? That's the next question. This one is sleeping or not? Eyes are open. Second, I thought she was in Turiya. And now she closed her eyes when you said that. So shall we call it a day right now before I get very tired? No, I'm not. I'm trying to escape.
Are you able to tell us your work with Ramachandran, the consciousness studies? I see pictures of you with him. Maybe
He's a wonderful man. He experiments on the brain. He's a great neurologist, good friend. But he is still trying to find his way in his own way. And but one of the books he has written, which I think it's nice to read, is Phantoms in the Brain. Phantoms in the Brain is a beautiful book. Basically, it's about how we can imagine things to be when they are not there because of the brain. You know, people have lost their arms in battles, in war, but then there is no hand and there is no arm, but the brain center which controls the arm is still there. So at times there is an arm which is not there, and then they say, my fists are clenched and it's so painful, can you open it for me? How do you open it when it's not there? It's only there in the brain. You see, from this you can understand what we call rational can be so illusory sometimes. For this man who feels there is an arm that is clenched which he needs to open, is very rational, but he cannot see it. It's not there. It's only here. So everything is here, you know. You can. So, but Ramachandran did a wonderful experiment by which he was able to get patients to unclench their fists, which are not there physically, using the reverse reflection that you see in a mirror. In a mirror there is lateral inversion. So what is right becomes left and what is left becomes right. So what he did was to make 2 holes and put your hands through that with a mirror in front, so that the left hand appears to be the right hand and the right hand. So when you unclench this hand, the other fist is in. Actually, he should have got a Nobel Prize for that. But even that there are lobbies, so you can't. Anyway, so he is also deeply spiritual in a sense. I mean, so thank you. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Tat Sat. Thanks to Babaji.